thinking about the particular drivers of change and even barriers to change, and there are many of these in relation to these sustainable development goals, varying different, economic aspects, policy, technology, we can all influence progress in this. So there's a number of different examples here into each of the different goals. Just something for you to think about. This stuff's covered in more detail in the accompanying notes. The clean water and sanitation, population growth, particularly in many of the poorer countries of the world. This is going up a lot. Technological innovation can help, and policy and governance in countries that have big populations that have these problems, and also they're still struggling to feed them and things like that. Economic development, for a lot of these it's slow coming. Okay, countries that are more developed, it might be a little bit easier to do this. The affordable and clean energy, again, technology is giving us more, probably reducing it, but there's a lot of pressures to make profit in these areas. Policy again can influence that. Economics incentive to do something, to use kind of renewable sources and things like that. And then the market demand. There's a demand for these things. Sometimes they can help. They can help reduce it, but people just want their energy at the start. Many of the areas within climate action, we're pushing this stuff. Greenhouse gas was talked about a lot. Policies, big agreements around the world, changing this. Public awareness is improving. And, they are learning more about it. And programs like this, or even yourself in your own careers, these can help. And then economic shifts are going roundabout, which can move towards these things. But there's still a lot of work to do. Then think about life below water. Marine pollution, lots of this, overfishing, these things are realities. This is the real world we're in. Climate change, differences things that have been there before. This is also kind of raising public awareness. And the conservation efforts, there are many, and there are many, many good ones out there trying to do things. And this notion of the blue economy, where things are related to the sea and the industries about that. A lot of efforts going on there. Life on land, as mentioned before, deforestation, huge swathes of things like the rainforest getting cut down, biodiversity, species disappearing every day, climate, and trying to come into sustainable agriculture things, but not just the one per farmer down there. This is the mass, the high level stuff. And the policy can impact that too. Some of the barriers of this, complex to get around this. Not impossible, but it's complex. As well as economic, political factors, environmental factors, all have an impact. Infrastructure. We talk about nice, clean water and stuff like that, but many sub-Saharan Africans, communities, they don't have basic water and sanitation. Limited funds, technical skills, they can restrict infrastructure development, but it's not just that. They need money. They need help if they're going to actually do this stuff. Political institutional challenges are huge. The major countries in the world, many of them are not really doing this. They're not really trying. Also things like, can lead to be part of a problem in bigger areas. Like the River Jordan, they've been arguing over that and fighting over that for a long time, and fighting about water and that, not just about other things that are used. Governance, hard to do it. Sometimes it's weak for varying different reasons. It's not always that simple. Independence on fossil fuels. We use the example here about, China and India. Many of the people are not wealthy. Okay, these things, they give them some kind of affordable energy, even if the emissions are high. So changing to these things, there's a lot required, a lot of investment needed, and this takes time. Political resistance, huge amounts, met from the US, from other countries like that in the world. The Paris Agreement, the US withdrew from it. Okay, massive lobbies from the fossil fuel industries, oil and gas. They're going to lose, or they think they're going to lose, and this is going to happen. Complexity of these barriers. There are a lot of different things. Global coordination is difficult. We're not one government around the world. We're a group of individual countries. Commitments aren't even right across the way. The differences. Economic differences are one of the main things. Countries are poor. This is a nice to have. This is not a necessity for them. Pollution, the marine stuff. Another example of this, Great Pacific garbage patch, the huge amount of rubbish floating around there. Remember, the Pacific covers nearly half of the ocean, or half of the planet. For waste management, put it in there, floats away. Many don't see it. And global regulations. Regulations on a global scale are difficult. And they're not taken up by everybody. And the deforestation stuff, all over, impacting, clearing it to grow things, clearing it for different reasons, clearing it for timber. Diversity is impacted, yes, and so are carbon levels. Economic pressures. Again, many of these people are poor, and there's lots of reasons to do that. Also, with the law enforcement is a bit weak, and they sign up for an idea, but it doesn't always happen. Wildlife trade, things like that. We're still trying to protect the animals, but poaching, things are still, there's a lot of kind of demand for that. And some of these things, like the elephants and rhinos and that, are risking extinction. Again, enforcement's difficult. Corruption's huge. Corruption is a reality of the world, and it happens all over the world. Then invasive species as well. Other things can come. The examples of this zebra mussel disrupting ecosystems in North America and similar ones elsewhere. They can affect the largest reservoir in Northern Ireland is full of one of these things at the moment. A big problem. These things aren't managed that well, because managing them often knocks into somebody's own interest. So these are difficult to come around. Not impossible, but difficult.